Welcome back, everybody. Okay, few sports, but a lot. It's kind of, I feel like last week, I guess for once, it wasn't loads happened, a lot of exciting stuff happened. It was all quite, apart from the Euros, quite pedestrian. Well, certainly, Formula 1 was pedestrian. I guess we'll start with Formula 1. Strange one, because obviously, like I said last week, the Austrian Grand Prix typically has been, Mercedes have done well there, but Red Bull, well, Max Verstappen has managed to win 2 races there. There's some DNFs from Mercedes and other things that happened there. So it wasn't necessarily a Red Bull track, but as soon as Friday practice turned around, you could just tell Verstappen was up there right at the top. Hamilton and Bottas were kind of hanging around behind. Qualifying was close-ish, but Max Verstappen had enough. He got himself on pole. Hamilton ended up qualifying third. Bottas was ahead of him, so that was looking good. But then because of Bottas tried this a new pit exit strategy. So you go in second gear, higher revs, and you maybe get out a bit quicker. That didn't work out for him, so he sped out the pit lane and wheel spun the car in the pit lane, almost hit the McLaren mechanics in the pit lane. And at the time, everyone was kind of laughing it off because it was a silly little exit. But because he tried something and failed it, the FIA gave him a grid penalty. So that worked out well for Red Bull because then obviously he goes behind Sergio Perez on the line. And then Lando Norris again, young Brit, ended up being third because of that grid penalty. So it was a very straight, race on Sunday, given how most of these races end up, it's quite close for a while and then something dramatic happens. This was one of those races where you'd expect this kind of thing to happen more often. It did happen a lot in the Mercedes era, and I guess it's happened before, but I haven't seen this kind of race happen many times, especially up at the front. So off the line, it's quite a short run to turn 1, which is like an uphill right, and then there's a very, very long straight up into turn 4, or turn 3. Off the line, kind of even-ish. Verstappen, they all make the turn, and then Hitch clears off. Just off he goes. Like there was at no point, after the first lap, it was about a second gap between him and Hamilton. Lap 2, 3, 4, 5, and then by lap 10, he was 2 seconds ahead of Hamilton, and they were 10 seconds ahead of everyone else, which is crazy. I mean, Martin Brundle on the commentary said he said he didn't understand how Hamilton and Verstappen, I mean, they obviously are world-class drivers, but they're in the same car, roughly, as their teammate. But they're a pit stop ahead. It's literally them two by themselves, gone. Obviously, Verstappen is, 4, 5, 6 seconds ahead of Hamilton most of the time. And at just no point was there any danger whatsoever for Verstappen. So, he ended up, cruising through, made a good pit stop. Perez had a bad pit stop, which put Bottas ahead of him. And then they tried to do what they did last week. They pitted Perez to get some fresh tyres on to go quickly, and he basically ran about 1 lap. He ran out of time by about 1 lap, so Perez could have actually got Bottas at the end. So it ended up being Verstappen, easy win, Hamilton, and then Bottas. So both championships get extended even more. I mean, as far from a Hamilton point of view, you can't let too many more of these go because the points will just rack up, and then you're going to really need a dominant stretch. Once it gets over 20, 28, because obviously 7 points the difference between first and second, and then you get the fastest lap as well, which Hamilton got this time because he managed to pit at the end. 3 or 4 race wins. Once you get over 30 points, it's like you need either a dominant run or some DNFs or some crashes and stuff. And at this minute in time, Red Bull are definitely, like I said last week, at the beginning, I think Mercedes were a better car, and they made some good strategy calls. And Perez was kind of adjusting to his new team. But now, Perez is on top of Bottas. Bottas is quite low on confidence and a bit frazzled, a bit frustrated. And Verstappen's obviously enjoying having the best car and being, one of the best 2 drivers. And Hamilton just seems kind of... my own insight to it, from what I can see and from what I read, there's obviously... So 2022 next year, there's completely different cars. So they're basically ripping up the car templates and just doing a whole new car. So it's going to be whole new regulations, whole new cars, whole new aero stuff, power stuff. So obviously teams need to start looking ahead to that, and there's been a lot of chatter about who's doing what. Some of the smaller teams have completely sacked off this year's development. They're not spending money on stuff this year, they're spending all their money on next year's stuff. And Toto Wolff, the Mercedes team boss, he kind of alluded to the fact that they were doing quite a lot of that towards next year, and Red Bull have suddenly, their power is suddenly a lot more than Mercedes. Mercedes were always known for having a very powerful car, and Red Bull were kind of better with the downforce in corners. But now Red Bull have a powerful car. So yeah, Hamilton, some of the people are saying that they think they've upgraded their engine, which I guess if it's taken them by surprise, that means Mercedes are probably not doing any kind of development to their car, which would be strange, because I guess from a team point of view, whether it's Red Bull or Mercedes, if you're looking towards next year and the future, that'll set you up, obviously for the next 4, 5, 6 years, however long these regulations are the same for. So if you kind of sacrifice the future just to win this championship, you could be really behind next year. So I think, the team bosses at both teams are probably trying their hardest not to develop this year's car and just see who can win it. But I think Mercedes will have to do something, otherwise Red Bull will run away with it. I think that could happen. There's a danger of this happening in the next 3 or 4 or 5 races. If Red Bull win, 3 out of these next 4, I think they will win both championships, because I think the gap will be too big to close, given that next year's going to be a complete upturn in the rules. So from a championship point of view, it's getting to a point now where I think you can't. Now Mercedes have lost 4 in a row for the first time in this new era. So the new era started in 2014. So the last 7 years, they've never ever lost 4 races in a row. So that tells you how good Red Bull are. But yeah, further down, because I do focus on Mercedes and Red Bull quite a lot. Further down, McLaren is smashing it. Lando Norris is, apart from Verstappen, Lando Norris is the MVP rankings. Verstappen would be number 1. Lando Norris is definitely number 2, because he's getting on top. Obviously, he's been in the McLaren for a while now, and his teammate just is struggling hard. Daniel Ricciardo is struggling hard for whatever reason. So he's doing very well. Ferrari are kind of like finding their way back in. Leclerc came from, he had to pit for a new wing on the front for the first lap because he clipped Gasly's rear tyre, and he ended up getting all the way back to 7th. So Leclerc is a very, very impressive driver. Ferrari are doing well. Obviously McLaren and Ferrari are battling for that 3rd place. And then behind them, it's kind of Alpine, AlphaTauri, Aston Martin are all kind of just grabbing those 7th, 8th, 9th spots. Every now and again, or if someone drops out, they'll get there. But it's clear there's 4 tiers. You've got 2 championship rivals, Ferrari and then McLaren in the 2nd tier, and then there's like 3 or 4 teams in the middle, and then you've got obviously the teams at the bottom, Alfa Romeo and Haas and Williams, who are just kind of almost just there filling out the numbers at this point. But listen, we're going same track again. So obviously Austria doubleheader now. So this one's going to be called the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend. Could be a copy and paste unless Mercedes do something dramatic in qualifying. It could be a copy and paste, and Verstappen and Red Bull just do the same thing, go off and win the race. It's very strange. This is certainly the most boring race. After the most exciting race, this was the most boring race, certainly of the year. It was one of those straightforward, off you go, you can't catch me sort of jobs. But yeah, so we'll see. This weekend, same track, kind of a repeat, go again. So yeah, the NBA playoffs is obviously still going. Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals. The West is looking like Phoenix Suns. I mean, even from the beginning, right at the beginning, very, very beginning when I did the NBA playoffs video, and in Phoenix they were hot going in, and they had to get through LeBron. So the first step was like, okay, can they get through LeBron? They got young guys, DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker and whatnot, led by Chris Paul, the veteran. Can they get through? They beat the Lakers. Now they're going through, and now they're all the way in the Western Conference Finals, and they got LA Clippers now. They're up 3-1, and as we know, you go up 3-1 in a 7-game series. It's almost unless you've got LeBron James in your team, almost impossible. I would expect Phoenix to get, one of the next two. They got one of the next two at home. They'll get to the finals, and they're going to be impressive because Milwaukee, in the other sides, the Eastern Conference Finals, Milwaukee and Atlanta Hawks, they're playing out a good series. I think Atlanta Hawks might just run out of steam, run out of fortune, because the Bucks are solid. But this series could run and run. So Atlanta Hawks won the first game, a bit of a surprise, and then the last two the Bucks have won, including last night. So we've got a few more interesting games. Bear in mind the Bucks have been through another tough series. Atlanta Hawks went 7 games with Philadelphia, but they're kind of battering and bruising. They're going through the ringer. If Phoenix beat LA and get through to the finals after 5 games, they're going to be fresh, because Milwaukee and Atlanta Hawks, they're going to probably go at least 6 games, if not 7, and they're going to be intense games. And given that both of those teams went 7 games in the previous series, it's a lot of games to play and not a lot of time. They're playing every 2 days now, 2 or 3 days. So it's going to get exciting. Certainly the Eastern Conference Finals with Milwaukee and Atlanta. But the West should be done. I'd be stunned if, without Kawhi Leonard, so the Clippers are down to just their one superstar, Paul George, if they manage to come back and win 3 games in a row against Phoenix Suns, that would be very impressive. I can't see that happening, if I'm being honest. But we'll see. Strange things have happened. Speaking of strange things, a lot of strange things happening in the football. Well, not too many, but enough. So obviously, I think last time we spoke, where were we at? Yeah, just before the England game. So England won, obviously, as you know. Won the group, which pre-game was not looking like, or pre-tournament and pre-game, was looking like a bad idea. Because we're thinking, okay, we're going to end up playing really hard team, and then the route to the final was going to be quite difficult. So we won the group, England won the group, and because of, so Spain smashed Poland, I think it was, Slovakia, and then Poland held Ukraine. So then in the group F, the group of death, both teams drew 2-2. So Germany were going out, they were that close to going out. They drew 2-2 with Hungary. Portugal and France also drew. So every single goal that went in, after all of those goals, all those 8 goals across those 2 games, the league table changed. I think everybody, apart from Hungary being first, everyone was in a different position after every single goal. Luckily for Germany, they managed to grab a last-minute equaliser, get themselves through. Portugal went through 3rd, France won the group. So if you look at all the groups pre-tournament, so my little prediction thing, it ended up being I got 13 out of the 16 right, which at the end of the day, okay, looks quite good, but at the time, for going throughout, by the end of it, Spain getting there when they needed to, Portugal and Germany doing what they need to, England's group, so Croatia managed to get through as well at the last minute. So at the end, they did what they're supposed to do, but it wasn't looking like that at any point. It was looking like we're going to get England coming 3rd, Scotland were going to qualify, all this nonsense. So ended up being quite straightforward. The last 16 games have been quite interesting. Denmark coming back from Christian Eriksen's cardiac arrest, they're form team now. They played obviously the group games, they've been all at home. They're probably feeling the support from the world. They smashed Wales 4-0, who weren't that good, to be fair. They kind of got out of the group. They had a poor group. They had Switzerland and Turkey in there, and they got themselves through. Denmark are galvanised. They're flying. Hammered Wales. Italy got past Austria. Again, Italy are just not conceding goals. So they're going to be interesting, but they're in a hard half of the draw. Obviously, then later on last night, Belgium, epic game. Well, epic second half, actually. Just top, end-to-end stuff. All the players were kind of showing up. Lukaku, I guess, doing his thing. Lukaku is, personally, just a super frustrating player to watch sometimes. But when he's on, he's so big and strong, and he plays like a big, strong person. Sometimes defenders just can't get close. But But yeah, the Belgium-Portugal game was outstanding. So Czech Republic, again, all these different storylines. Czech Republic beat Holland. So Holland were looking like a decent team in the groups. Czech Republic beat them 2-0. And all of a sudden, Czech Republic have gone from, needing a result. They managed to qualify. England beat them in the last game. Didn't really look in too much trouble. And now all of a sudden, Czech Republic are in. And they've got, they managed to obviously beat Holland. Now they've got Denmark in the quarterfinals of the Euros. So one of those two is going to go through. So the winner of that game is going to play the winner of England and Germany, whoever gets through that. And then obviously the next game above that, Ukraine and Sweden. So all in our England's half of the draw, it's looking on paper great all of a sudden. But you got to play Germany first. It's just a big game. It's not the whole England-Germany thing. Obviously, I guess it's been played out for a very long time. But I think modern day England-Germany is going to be very different, given where Germany are, given where England are, given that it's going to be in Wembley, which is huge. I think now you look back, you think we're trying to engineer a favourable draw by not winning the group or whatever it was before the tournament. But now you realise, if you get to play Germany, I'm glad it's at home. I'm glad it's at Wembley. You're going to have the whole country. I think now that the capacity is going to start ramping up from here. Going to be interesting. It's best case scenario to get a home. If you're going to play a tough team, at least play them at home, rather than trying to go and play in Budapest against Czech Republic, and it's kind of a bit up in the air. You never know who's going to do what. So obviously tonight, or in a bit, you got France and Switzerland going to play, and Croatia and Spain. Again, you'd have thought France and Spain will get through, and then they'll play each other in the quarterfinals. Again, it's a nightmare quarterfinals. So teams like Belgium have had to play Portugal in the first round. They've now got Italy in the quarterfinals, and if they beat Italy, they've got the winner of France or Spain. And then in the final, I guess depending on out of England or Germany who gets through that, it could be one of those two, or it could be, maybe Denmark or Czech Republic. If Czech Republic beat Denmark, and then we get them in the quarterfinals or the semi-finals even, that could be interesting. So it's all kind of bubbling along. The tournament, for me personally, the tournament's been okay. To be honest, I think everyone's knackered. That's what I think. I just think it's kind of come to a point. There's been so much football. Again, I'm not complaining, but I just think people are just knackered. The tournament, the quality. There's been some quality, but I think overall it's been sort of bit ponderous. The group stages, because 3 goes through, the urgency isn't really there. The knockout games have been good because it's win or go home. That's how tournament football should be. But I feel like group stage football, when you get so many chances to go through, the quality does suffer. That's just my personal opinion. But people might think it's quite good, but I thought it's been quite ponderous. Certainly England have, obviously, but some of the teams have been okay. France have looked okay. Italy have just been very efficient. Spain are kind of obviously found some form towards the end, putting 5 past Slovakia, and then all the other teams, all these Ukrainians and just getting their way through to the tournament. I guess we'll see. I think from now it's going to kick off. Obviously, France are back in action tonight. Let's see how good Spain are. Belgium have been impressive. Defensively, they're still bad, but they've just got so many quality players, and now they've got younger Hazard, who's balling as well. They're looking solid. So I guess we'll see. Everyone's had a wobble though. Everyone's looked less than impressive. Well, I guess apart from Belgium, record-wise, they've won all their games and now they've won another one. They've not really put a foot wrong. But I guess we'll see what France do tonight. If they really put Switzerland to the sword, they could be looking quite good. But their run to the final is looking difficult. But yeah, we'll see. Well, obviously, yeah. So the next time we speak, it's going to be semi-final time. So it's not going to be. We're going to go straight through a big phase of this tournament. So England, Germany, big game. Everyone's talking about playing 5 at the back and just containing Germany. I just think we should, not be too defensive and just try and play it out. Because if we end up conceding, you've got to switch the tactics completely, and then the players but we do have the players to do it. People like Saka, and if you want to stick Sancho back in there, Foden, Green. There's a lot of players who can go and do that, but I just think we should be more on the front foot, especially at home. Like, England fans are not going to take playing nice defensive eight defenders against Germany and then losing. So, hopefully it's an exciting game. The atmosphere's gonna be nuts over there. To be fair, it's gonna be absolutely nuts. So we'll see. We'll see how that one goes. I guess to wrap up, there's a few little things going on. I say little. Tour de France isn't little, and Wimbledon's not little either. But obviously, I guess with the playoffs and with everything else going on, it's kind of been pushed to the back a little bit. But Tour de France has begun. I watch it kind of here and there. I'm very, very casual Tour de France fan. I guess now that Chris Froome is, well, not at his best anymore. He's kind of over the hill a little bit. I guess obviously Bradley Wiggins is gone. So I had a British interest in Tour de France. Geraint Thomas is in there, some other guys in there. But it's kind of like Tour de France has kind of slipped out of public consciousness. I guess since Team Sky went away and all that kind of thing, and the Olympic Games, that was kind of like the pinnacle of Tour de France. But I always, it's obviously such a massive event, massive event, and the crowds are obviously in the very first stage or the opening stages. Lady with the sign, you check it out on YouTube. Lady with the signs, holding it out, not even looking at the race, and causes a massive pile up. Everyone hits the deck. Tour de France is going on. Wimbledon just started today. Obviously, they missed Wimbledon last year with COVID. Your boy Djokovic. You can't look past you can't look anywhere else apart from Djokovic for this. He won. So the last time we're at Wimbledon, Djokovic beat Federer in what I would probably consider the greatest game, well, certainly I've ever seen, but it's definitely widely considered one of the greatest tennis matches of all time. Where he beat Federer in a marathon 5-set match. So that was the last time we're out. But yeah, I just can't see past Djokovic. Also, I can probably see, obviously the female side is wide open. But Serena Williams dominates Wimbledon. She's very good at Wimbledon. So even though she's kind of been struggling a little bit, losing a lot, if there is a place that she can dominate and finally get to the record for most Grand Slams, could be here. So we'll see how it progresses. Obviously, round one, it's all top seeds against lower seeds, wild cards, and they should all be just straight sets for the first week or so. And then you start getting to the last 16s, that's when it starts kicking off, and you get the quality matchups. And then obviously, later on in the tournament, you get the really good guys playing. So as far as global stature, Wimbledon and Tour de France are obviously massive, but I guess we'll see how they both develop. Tour de France I won't be covering too much because I don't really know too many of the people. I know of them, but I don't watch it enough to be telling you how this guy won this mountain stage, or who's in the green jersey. Won't be happening too much. So yeah, quite a short one this week. Very straightforward. All the stuff kind of nothing really blew up, I suppose. The Euros is kind of ticking along. The Euros is getting exciting now. The NBA playoffs, obviously the conference finals have just started. The Formula 1 happened to be boring. And then all the other stuff is just started. So Tour de France and Wimbledon just started. So it's all kind of moving into place nicely. But yeah, coming forward, obviously we've got we've got McGregor. Conor McGregor's back in a couple of weeks in a career. I can only describe it as a career-defining fight. Even the career he's had is career-defining for Conor McGregor. Another race, Formula 1 this weekend. Wimbledon will be cracking on. The Euros is going to get to big boy time. So appreciate it once again. Tuning in, tapping in, subscribing. Tap the subscribe, tap the like, and I will see you soon.